Hey everyone, welcome back to Channel Couch Co-op. We got Grim, we got Shapes.
Yo.
Today we are talking about What If. So another Marvel Disney Plus
Shock.
episode series. Hey, we're paying for it, we might as well talk about it.
That's true.
So this is the next series that's coming in the line of Star Wars / Marvel things that we have touched on. I know we didn't touch upon Bad Batch, but I haven't watched previous. So we can get into it at a different time. I know Schaefer does like the Star Wars animated stuff.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I haven't really watched any of the animated Star Wars personally.
Okay.
Like Clone Wars, and then didn't really watch a single episode. I watched one episode of Rebels, and it was the one that Obi-Wan Kenobi fights Darth Maul.
Spoiler.
Yeah. But it's something that's been out 3 years, I think. But yeah,
you don't have to make the noise this time.
Yeah. But so yeah, so, you know, it's for me. I tried. I think it was Clone Wars. It was okay.
Yeah.
And then I watched like a few episodes of Rebels when I was getting actually coincidentally this tattoo.
Sure.
With my tattoo artist, and it was okay. I mean, it's not like, oh my God, Stop the Press, this is the great cinema, but
So, well, I'll put this challenge out. We'll each watch the first 5 episodes for this next coming week. We'll come back.
Which one?
We'll start from the beginning because we should at least
Clone Wars.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll see what it's all about. But we're here for What If.
Yeah.
So, as of the shooting of this particular video, 2 episodes are out. It is Captain Carter and What If Captain Carter and What If T'Challa and Star-Lord. Yeah. So, if you haven't watched it, I would stop and watch them because there's not a way that we can not spoil it because we're talking about the subject matter, and it doesn't go in succinct order.
I mean, you know, especially for me at least, you know, there's not really that many surprises. At least I didn't think in the Captain Carter one. However, T'Challa as Star-Lord, that was definitely a lot of fun in my book because there's a lot of like cool spin that they did with the original material.
Minor Easter eggs too, which is nice.
Yeah.
So we'll start with Captain Carter, but before that, we'll just kind of overall, I think, just kind of what our thoughts were before.
Yeah.
We'll go into each episode and then we'll go on what we think as a whole of the series.
Well, like I read some of the comics. I'm gonna go back and like really blow you guys away. When PSP used to offer the comic books, remember that?
Yeah. Okay.
I can't remember, but you used to be able to buy single issues from them, and it would just be digital. Yeah. It was actually a really good interface.
Nice.
And I guess it still works. I have them on my PSP still.
Very eco-friendly.
Yeah, exactly. And can't trade them though. Not collectible. But yeah, so it was really good. I bought like a bunch of Deadpool, but What If was one that I bought a lot of. I don't know why. It was just one of those things. I saw it, and I saw one of the stories was Wolverine against Hydra.
Okay.
And it was a pretty fun one. MODOK was in it for some reason. But yeah, so anyway, I read some of them. None of them had anything to pertain with the ones that we saw here. But honestly, was there any? I don't think there were what ifs of these particular
storylines, no. But there's been a lot of what ifs for a long time.
Yeah.
My personal dealings with what ifs was in the '90s when you go to toy stores, they would package like 2 to 4 comic books together, and then they'd sell them for like $3 or something like that.
And What If was like part of it?
What If was one of them because it was interesting. Like. My father would be a regular at the comic book store, and then we would go to the toy store like, oh, I want this. Daddy reads comics, I want to read comics too. It's like, oh, these are garbage, don't buy these. And you see them nowadays at like Rite Aid and other stuff, those packaged deals, whereas it's just like this guy who clearly bought all these comics, has all this extra inventory, just slapping together and trying to just get rid of them. So
no question.
There are a couple of what ifs, and they were interesting. They weren't like amazing.
Yeah.
But I think comparatively, this series is very fleshed out and very well executed, in my opinion.
Yeah.
My thoughts for the series before was, oh, this would be very interesting. I was actually skeptical because it was animated, because all of Marvel's EU at this point, or MCU rather at this point, was all technically live action, and so I didn't know how to feel about that.
Yeah. I mean, I felt fine, personally. It just kind of felt like it was... because a lot of it changes a lot of the story and even the character, as we'll find, we'll dive into later. So I kind of felt like this was probably the only avenue they could really go without spending a shit ton of money.
Right. Well, and the concern is, before I realized what this was going to be, is I was worried about, are they going to have the voice actors, or are they just going to hire some random...
That's what I had a big fear of that one. And thankfully, they brought most of the people back.
Which is great. So, I mean, I think before show, a little skeptical. As you heard more, you're like, okay, this is a good, feasible idea. Mm-hmm. And I think you were weeks away because you're coming off the hot heels of Loki, you're like, I'm ready for more. This could only be hypothetically let down, but I'm excited.
Well, I looked at it, so, I know the people that have watched the previous Marvel posts that we've had, tongue-tied, sorry. I talk a lot at work, so I get tongue-tied easy. But, so basically, with how Loki ended and how they managed the multiverse thing, because obviously I had said previously that I was very skeptical about the multiverse, because I was like, it just seems too easy. And it's just kind of like, here it is. But I love what Loki did with all the variant Lokis. We gave them a lot of personality, and you could see the differences in everyone, and characterize them, essentially. Like, old Loki was very interesting and things like that. So going into this, when I heard that this was essentially kind of doing the multiverse thing, following that suit, and that these people could eventually show up in the movies, I'm sure if they hit a certain point, she's trying to chew her toenails right now. I was kind of stoked about it. I was interested. I didn't really know much about the stories. I'll be honest. I knew that Chadwick Boseman was going to reprise his role as T'Challa, but I didn't know to what capacity. Yep. And I knew about Captain Carter, only because she was kind of the flag, like the main, like she was in all the art for
teasers and all that stuff.
So I was like, okay, I knew that was going to happen. And the zombies, that was the other one, because I read that. I actually enjoyed that as a younger human. I shouldn't say a child, but I think I read it in college. But so basically, I was excited with what they were going with it, and honestly, I think they delivered. It's pretty good stuff.
To tag along with that, as Loki finished up, as you heard more, because there's a little bit of an in-between series. As Shapes knows, I'm not a huge spoiler person, but Facebook feed and just scrolling through the internet, so you'll read blurbs, and I picked up the same thing where T'Challa had a couple episodes, or Chadwick Boseman, Peggy Carter was back, and then the zombies. But I agree with you, executed very well, and we like it. But we'll dive into this first episode now, and kind of give our feedback and some notes from the episode.
Yeah.
So. Here
Spoilers.
We go. Yeah. Your unofficial spoiler warning.
Shaka Black shot that sign on there. But yeah, so Agent Carter. I'm gonna keep on doing that. Sorry, Captain Carter. This one, essentially kind of pulled on it where there was like a terrorist that tried to stop the super soldier serum from being administered. It was probably Baron Zemo, one of his men, I'd imagine, because he was always anti-super soldier.
Well, it seemed Zemo is not that old.
Well, his family,
sure,
I should say. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
That's because his family was a dude, right? Or his dad was a dude.
They were of high standing.
Yeah, German standing. Anyway, they go into that. Everything kind of follows the storyline in the first 5-10 minutes of the original Captain America movie, and then there's the terrorist that tries to stop the super serum from being administered to Steve Rogers, and during the process he basically stops it, and they only have a certain amount of time before the serum goes bad or the machinery blows up. I can't remember.
So basically Howard Stark was like, hey, we're losing power, we're losing quick, so we either do it now or we're going to lose the whole experiment. And what they didn't show in frame was the lead doctor, like in Captain America First Adventure, he dies.
Yeah.
So that math, that science, that formula is gone.
True.
So
I forgot about that.
they got desperate, and that's when Peggy Carter was like, well, if he's down and can't do it, I'm going to take one for the team, and she gets administered the super serum and becomes Captain Carter.
Yeah, and she essentially, the funny thing too is because she's already obviously an average sized woman, whereas Steve Rogers was always kind of very mousy and tiny.
Right.
And it's funny to see kind of like what the super serum would have done, super soldier serum would have done to a person that was normal.
Right.
Because she becomes gigantic.
Yeah.
She essentially kind of becomes like almost like a Wonder Woman build, I would say.
As Shaf likes to say, an Amazon.
An Amazon. Yes, Lady Demetrescu or something, whatever, however you say it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying. I'll throw it up there.
Right.
But yeah, so the thing with this, I thought it was really cool. She stepped up to the plate. It definitely, she had her gusto that she had in the first film.
Yeah.
And which was nice to see. The voice acting on her behalf was pretty solid, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The one that I thought was really bad was fucking Sebastian Stan.
Well, it was actually him.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is his only point there was his one-liners.
Yeah.
And they were bad one-liners that didn't connect, which leads into a minor point, like them actually getting, in terms of continuity, the actual voice actors. And the only major one that they didn't have was Chris Evans, and I don't know if it was an obligatory obligation that he couldn't get to it, or he just wasn't interested, but they did spot on. But go ahead, what you were saying.
Yeah, I mean, he was the sore thumb. I'm trying to think who else. The guy who plays Howard Stark, forgive me, I can't remember his name. He's also a good actor. He did a few good films. He did a pretty good job as Howard Stark in this. Carried the mantle decently well. The guy who played Steve Rogers, I thought was dynamite.
Yeah, he did very well. It sounded like him, in fact.
Yeah.
It was very close, if not spot on.
But it's basically like they did really well with that. There was a lot of spins on, obviously the continuity of that as we know it. Obviously Iron Man couldn't exist back then because Tony Stark wasn't alive yet. So Howard ends up building essentially kind of like the first issue Iron Man suit from the first film, but
Hydra Stomper.
he calls it the Hydra Stomper, and Steve Rogers becomes Iron Man essentially, which is kind of a cool little twist. And it was neat. I mean, I liked it. Red Skull, it was Red Skull, I guess.
I mean, the voice actor was the one that was in Endgame.
Endgame.
And
it wasn't Hugo Weaving.
Yeah, he still did a good job. But the thing is his character has a very minimal role, only because you see him with mask, without mask, and then his death.
Yeah.
So it's really like 4 or 5 scenes at most, and it's very minimal. He doesn't play that much of a role, but the thing that does play a major role is what causes the time shift for Captain Carter.
Yeah.
Which I'll get into in just a second. I'll touch upon a couple of minute things. Like you said with this, even the intro thing with the infinite realities, with the glass breaking and all the mirrors and the different stories, that was kind of a nice touch.
Oh, fucking Jeffrey Wright.
Yes.
Who's the Watcher? Very good.
So this is the first
I
time.
love Jeffrey Wright's voice.
Yeah.
I mean,
what else is he in?
he was in Westworld. He was in a Bond film. He plays the CIA agent.
Okay.
I'm trying to think what else he was in. He's been in a few other things. He always is kind of like a background character. He's pretty knowledgeable kind of thing.
So this is like the first time a Watcher has spoken. You've seen Watchers before in the one scene, and I think it's a Guardians, where they shoot across and then Stan Lee's explaining the story to the Watchers and what's going on. Because Stan Lee has lived so many lives.
Welcome, true believers.
Yes, in the multiverse, if you will. What else is there? I just thought it was really cool. The art styling, I figured because it was animated, it wouldn't be amazing. The art style was actually done really well.
I'm trying to think of what kind of art style it kind of is. It kind of plays on almost like a 1940s but updated, almost CGI style, cartoon style, sort of.
Yeah,
like pinup, I should say, like pinup cartoon, sort of.
Which would be very time appropriate. With that said, just like with this series, there's just a bunch of possibilities that could kind of come through. Like I said before, the the voice actors just make it more authentic feel. But
They got to deliver. I mean,
Yeah.
I like Sebastian Stan. I don't think he's necessarily a bad actor. I don't think he's a great one. No hate, but he's not bad. And like on Agent Carter, I was just like, it sounded like he was just reading a cue card,
Right.
in a lot of
Captain
scenes.
Carter,
Yes. What did I say?
Agent.
Damn it. I watched the show because I love that woman. She's gorgeous.
The
but-
defunct ABC series that's not
Yeah,
canon.
no, exactly.
Oh,
And all of it's not canon because what is it? Shield's not
Agents
canon.
of Shield,
Yeah.
Inhumans, and Agent Carter.
Inhumans, I forgot about that.
So I mean, like I said, like he said, it's almost shot for shot the first Avenger, but Peggy Carter as Captain Carter in those roles. So like she trains, she earns the mantle, she earns the shield. There's kind of that half love story with Steve, where Steve was falling in love with Peggy. There was
Someone dies, Bucky dies in the first Avenger movie. This one, it's Steve,
technically.
but then you end up finding out that his suit is in fact just indestructible.
Well, the interesting thing also is just that in the scene prior, when they're getting and saving the Howling Commandos, they got all those voice actors back too.
Yeah.
Which was phenomenal. And it's funny because in the first Avenger, it's cool to see them from comic book to movie. This was them trying to be comic relief, and then just trying to push it real hard with Bucky, and Bucky's just like, ha ha, no, damn.
Yeah. Hey, I'm here. Oh, my charisma's not enough. Oh.
But beyond that, like towards the end, because they're only a half an hour type episodes, you find out that Red Skull's plan was not just to take the Tesseract and just run with it and powerful weapon. It's this ultimate champion, he keeps saying.
Yeah.
Which kind of looks like a Cthulhu / the monster in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, that first monster.
Yes.
That Drax goes and chops like this, or stabs rather. So that comes out and kills Red Skull, comes through and attacks. It's very challenging, turns Peggy, and Steve kind of buys her some time, and then she sacrifices herself, just like Steve does in a fashion. Steve crashes the plane with the Tesseract into the ice, assuming he's killed, and then whereas Peggy pushes Captain Carter pushes I'm just saying Cthulhu-like tentacle monster through a portal.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing at the end scene is she pops out of this portal, and these tentacles fly out, which is kind of it's just like a stagehand throwing tentacles out the portal, and she lands. And if you're keen on scene and sets, it's the first set of the first Avengers.
Yep.
With Project Pegasus, is it?
Yeah.
Something.
Well, it's basically because Nick Fury's there, Samuel, and they basically kind of do what they did with Captain America when he finally became unfrozen. They're like, hey, like here's the situation.
Shit has changed.
Yeah, and you're in modern day now, and so it was interesting. The thing I liked, if you noticed, when the tentacles came out, they were all old too. Did you notice that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like they aged when they came spatting out. Yep. Which I thought was a cool effect. I was like, oh, okay. I mean,
a keen watcher of tentacles, just so you know.
Yeah. Tentacle porn. Anyway, but Agent Carter, it ended well. It was kind of cool. We both liked it. Grim, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it wasn't bad at all. I actually liked T'Challa's story better.
Right.
Personally, but I'm more of a Guardians of the Galaxy fan, I guess. If you grouped everything together.
Sure.
Technically, I liked First Avenger. That was probably one of my favorites. I actually liked that better than Winter Soldier.
Okay.
And a lot of the reason why was I don't know. I couldn't get into the spy backstabbing stuff. Like that stuff's a little kind of cliche to me, but
like the Departed spy backstabbing stuff, or just the way that they
well, it's like everybody's a double agent or triple agent or something like that, and I'm just kind of like, like what was it? Robert Redford was a Hydra agent, and I'm just kind of like,
like the evolution, not just in the first Avenger, but like all of the shit.
In the Winter Soldier, like I liked the Winter Soldier arc. Like it was cool with what I like. I loved Sebastian Stan in that. He looked badass, but I don't know. It was just kind of like he was a silent villain,
right?
And it, like yeah, he had the history, but outside of that, he never talked. So it was just kind of like it was mostly Steve carrying the well, no, just the story,
sure.
talking and stuff. But so basically, like this was good. I liked it. With T'Challa, I liked it just because I like Chadwick Boseman. Like, he's probably one of my favorite actors in recent memory. Yeah, God rest his soul. And, I was just telling Grim about it, but go watch Message from the King if you haven't. I think it's on Prime or Netflix, one of the two, but definitely worth your time.
Sure.
It's kind of like Taken, I guess. But, yeah. To kind of like boil it down very simply, it's not like Taken, but it is like Taken. But so yeah. Anyway, we, this one going into this story, it's basically what if T'Challa became Star-Lord.
And I'm going to stop you right there.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, the last thing to take away that I took from the first episode, I apologize, was my personal hot take for this is this: the What If series is just a gigantic R&D HR cluster, where basically they're just going to cram storylines that they don't have either the money, time, or want to push out, and whatever catches fire, they can then slate it into a movie. So a lot of
big universe.
Yeah. So a lot of people liked the Agent Carter episode. I haven't heard too much about this particular episode, but I'm sure it's phenomenal. As I think about it now when talking to Shaper, I do like this episode more and more as we talk about it or think about it per se. But this is basically Marvel's free shot of churning something out. If it's throwing it at a wall, if it sticks, they will make a movie and make even more money.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that they're a horrible, evil, money-grubbing corporation by any stretch, but just saying that this is their free way of doing it.
Well, and to quote Field of Dreams, like if you build it, they will come. Because it's just like one of those things. Like if you build a good story, and the fans that are like, okay, you have enough call-outs to the source material, but you take it in its own direction.
Right.
Like for me, like this one, like not that I don't like the MCU Star-Lord. Don't get me wrong. I wanted to say Chris Evans.
Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt, thank you.
Yep.
That's a running joke, I guess, between Chris Hemsworth and he's like, "You're my favorite Chris." Remember that? Did you hear about that? Anyway, so
you're my second favorite Chris.
Yeah.
What?
But so we, the thing that I like about this is like, they could take something, see how it works. Okay, people like this. They could take it into another direction. Like, I don't know how they could necessarily introduce it without really shaking up the core. Because it's like, I don't know if this T'Challa story really existed outside of this. I don't know.
I don't think
I don't think it does.
And I don't think it's feasible to do it either.
No, well, considering.
Yes.
And that's just it, is it's like, for me, the T'Challa Star-Lord one was fan-fucking-tastic. I just liked it because, it didn't have the total quirkiness of a James Gunn Guardians of the Galaxy, but I think it had just enough, and it kind of made it its own, and there's a lot of spins on it.
And I think the thing that probably excited you for this particular episode more so than the first one is there's so many more variables and differentials, because there's
a lot more Easter eggs in this one.
For Agent Carter, it was like, in following the trajectory of the first Avenger, it's like this, and then at the end it went like this.
Yeah.
Whereas this, you're like, oh, whoa.
Well, wait a minute. Thanos!
Spoiler!
Yeah. So, that was something like, because this one...
Boba Fett where? Sorry.
Where? With this one, I just liked it because they just did a lot of spins on the lore that was within Guardians and Thanos
and even the
Nebula,
Black Panther
lore
too.
Yeah, so. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because it was bookended by Wakanda stuff essentially. Yeah. This one was good because you see the story, you see a young T'Challa with his father, and he's saying how he wants to leave Wakanda because that's all he's known.
Yeah.
And his father, of course, is like, no, this is where you belong. It's dangerous out there. Blah blah blah.
And it showed how seriously King Shaka didn't trust humans.
Yeah.
And the fact that T'Challa wasn't even able to leave the village or the country, the city, the whatever of Wakanda. And the parallel is, instead of Peter Quill being so distraught that his mother just died of cancer and leaves out the hospital, it's T'Challa's kind of messing around, throws his spear outside the realm of the force field or hologram, if you will, of Wakanda, and then he gets picked up on accident by the Ravagers.
Yeah.
Or specifically Yondu.
Yeah, Yondu basically, they task him with going to here because he's a celestial. They know that there's a celestial sun on Earth.
Well, it's technically because it's canon to what it was, where Ego hired him to get the sun. But yeah, and the celestial part is because Ego is a celestial, popping babies out of the entire galaxy. He's seeing what sticks.
Yeah.
As you find out in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Also, great part about this episode, lots of voice actors came back also, and a couple of Easter eggs, but go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, basically they snatch up T'Challa, and it kind of fast forwards right away into him stealing something, kind of a la the first Guardians.
It was the Power Stone.
Was it the Power Stone?
Because it was that circular sphere in that same hallway, and that I forget who the actor is, but the African American gentleman with the thing in the face, and when they asked, "Oh, I'm Star-Lord," he's like, "Who?" Jishman Hansu? Or how?
Yeah, see? I'll throw the name up there.
Sorry.
Yeah. I've seen it in print. I've just never heard it spoken. Oh, it's Jimon Hansu. That's what it is.
Okay.
Jimon Hansu, because the D is silent.
Got it.
The D is silent. We were introduced to his character. He's in it. He's actually kind of more of a comedic relief in this film.
He's Sebastian
show.
Stan for episode 2, but he actually hits.
Yeah. He knows how to voice act. The cacao, Sebastian Stan. But so
just shows up the door, punches you in the face. Like,
I'll never play Luke Skywalker, you motherfucker. No.
I mean, honestly, like they should do it.
I know.
Give it to him, but that's a different video. Continue.
Yes. Anyway, so yeah, we get that. We get a big mic drop, in my opinion. Thanos makes an appearance.
Yes.
And
it's actually voiced by.
Yes.
Not Perlman.
No.
Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin.
Our brains work.
Yeah. It's a lot of garbage in this brain. And we record these at night after a long work week, so for us. But yeah, we
That's why you should like and subscribe.
Yeah. I could quit my day job. But yeah, so anyway, we he comes back, he plays Thanos, which was pretty cool. The art was weird. I kind of felt like on Thanos. I don't know why.
You can only make
he seemed too smooth.
You can only make a wrinkly chin so detailed with
the
color.
testicle chin. That's the thing. Is it's like, I don't know. He seemed too smooth. He looked more, I guess, like a Ravager. I guess technically because he didn't have his gigantic suit of armor and everything else like that.
Mind you, before Thanos comes in, you find out that Chadwick Boseman has turned the Ravagers into a cause for good.
Yeah.
So him and Yondu are basically doing what, as they called it, Robin Hood /
Robin Hood, yeah.
What was the differentials? Robin Leach. He said Robin Leach. So do the Robin Hood where they steal from the rich and give to the poor and try to make it fair. Where that's why Thanos is introduced, because they basically took his one-minded view of making equality instead of murdering and genocide as a keyword. They just slightly tilted it and made it a little more flat.
Which was funny because they do talk about that, because Thanos constantly talks about getting all the Power Stones and or the Infinity Stones and eliminating half the thing. And there's like a moment where they're all in a bar and Thanos is clearly drunk and he's flirting with a girl and he's like, "It makes total sense. It's indiscriminate and it's instant."
It was a Wakanda Dora Milaje girl.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
it was at the end.
That's
right.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And she also said it still was genocide.
Yeah, she's like, "But that's still genocide."
But yeah, I mean, it hits different than that first one. It has a very interesting storyline because you instantly see that they're good people, and they changed Thanos to be not the Mad Titan. The hook or the conflict in the episode is Nebula, who's still voiced by the
Karen Gillian.
Yeah, the beautiful Karen Gillan, who oddly enough doesn't look like Nebula because she has hair and she's not completely all prosthetic, or not prosthetic, but robotic.
Yeah.
She wants to get this particular, is it herb or plant?
Yes.
It's
like it's like in a certain universes, it's like a life form essentially that can essentially grow organic plant life out of nothing, essentially.
So essentially it's like a super mushroom, but like for not humans, but like for food and things.
Yeah, and you do see a part of it because they use it on one of the dark, what do they call them? I forget.
Well,
it was Thanos' men in Endgame and stuff,
I don't remember.
but I can't remember their names.
Well,
but,
it's funny too because Thanos' henchmen are in the episode also.
Yeah,
but
and they're the bad guys.
Yeah, so what basically happens in the storyline is Nebula is tasked to do this particular job. T'Challa was just like, okay, let's do it. You find out the heel or the enemy of this particular episode is actually the Collector.
Yeah,
which is kind of a total mind blow because the Collector, though he wasn't great or a great human being, because he had slaves and shit, but he also was not evil.
Superly evil, yeah.
Yeah, so it was just kind of interesting to see this dynamic, and
because he's super evil.
Yes. So he eventually takes over the mantle of the Mad Titan. He doesn't take the name, but he takes the henchmen. He has a gang, and he has all this power in the essentially the outer rim of the universe.
Well, he steals obviously he's the Collector, but he steals all the powerful relics and stuff like that, so he himself can become powerful.
He's basically what I was when I was in middle school, trying to collect everything, all the Pokemon, etc. Huge hoarder, if you will.
Well, and that's, and you see it all too, because it's essentially mostly people trapped in boxes, but...
Well, they said it was split off in different sections, so there was a plant section, so we may have only walked into the living humanoid type of area.
Yeah.
Because you did see is it Dark Elf that was in Thor in the Dark World?
Yeah.
You saw what else did you see? There are other species you saw. You saw Howard the Duck, which was hilarious, which... The funny part is I was listening like, oh...
Who voiced him?
Seth Green.
Ah.
See, that was funny because I was watching it. I'm like, oh, Howard's actually talking because I know he had like the one line at the end of Guardians 2 or whatever. I'm like, oh my god, he's talking. I'm like, oh my god, it's Seth Green. I'm like, that totally is Seth Green. And I looked at him like, oh, it's Seth Green.
It is Seth Green?
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was Rogen for whatever, Seth Rogen for whatever reason, initially. But I was like, no, it's not Rogen. There's like a tinge to the voice. I recognize it, but it's not him. That makes sense. So basically,
they create this plot to get this particular organic substance, and T'Challa's hidden in essentially like a smuggler's box, and then Nebula and Yondu are talking to the Collector, trying to offer up the Power Stone.
That's right.
And basically, they create a distraction outside of the Collector's vaults, and they take all its security, so T'Challa has freedom to kind of figure out and find this particular organic material when he walks through the Hall of Ships. And one of the ships is a Wakandian ship because his necklace starts to glow and interacts with it.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets intrigued, he walks into the ship, and we find out that Nebula is basically a backstabbing partner and turns over T'Challa to the Collector.
Yeah. Which then you find out that was the plan all along.
Right, which is oddly enough coincidentally like Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Spy, double spy, triple spy. And then they save him from the Collector, where you see the action scenes where you use the organic material. I don't know if there are 4. There's like the girl, there's a big strong dude, there's a guy who can levitate things with his mind and stuff.
Yeah, because they're all in there. The woman that plays... Well, she's in Ghostbusters Aftermath. She's the mother in that. She was in the show Leftovers. It's like Colleen or Colbert or something like that. I can't remember.
All 4 of those characters pictures in the show, and then they're who they are.
But so they're all in it. The thing for me, what I liked about this is like, with the double cross, we kind of touched upon that. Like, the thing I liked about this is they actually, like, when the double crosses happen in Winter Soldier, it was just spoken.
Sure.
Whereas in this, it actually showed you, and while it was also happening, there was like the charm of it all. Like, oh, we knew that, but kind of like Ocean's 11, perhaps. Like, oh, this was this was the plan all along,
for sure,
kind of a thing. Which, I find a little more feel easier to swallow that way.
It was just comical because like, verging of thought.
Well, I just like, because what was it? Because when that happened, I was like, ooh, T'Challa and Nebula, that'd be great. Making children, sweet children. Yeah, so that was cool. I liked it. I mean, Chadwick Boseman just freaking knocks it out of the park with the voice acting in this. You could tell he totally had fun with it.
Yeah.
Got to play someone different, you know.
Well, to cap off the episode, not to ruin everything, they basically save T'Challa and then they take him back to the home planet, to Wakanda, gets reunited
with his father. Because he finds out, well, Yondu lied to him, said that his planet was destroyed.
Which there was the exact same line where it says, like, something about lying is what the quote is. He said that to Peter Quill, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and basically, because it was like not verbatim, but it was essentially the same line of like, you know, what would you have me do, you know, kind of a thing.
Okay.
What would you do if you were in my situation,
right.
essentially?
A couple of minor things that I noticed along as Easter eggs that I forgot. When T'Challa was fighting the Collector, or was it? Yeah, T'Challa was fighting the Collector. He was grabbing weapons from his vault. One of the sheets of weapons was Mjolnir.
Yep.
Captain America's shield, Hela's helm, and there's one other thing in there that just like blew my mind, and I can't remember what it was. But yeah, this like apparently because if he has it, that means those people are possibly dead. So
and it could be multiverse stuff too.
But also, there's no point for them because Thanos is not a Mad Titan anymore. So essentially, you don't need a Captain America or a Thor to protect, and you probably defeated Hela at some point.
Well, here's a question. Is the Collector multiversal?
What do you mean by multiversal?
Like he technically can just kind of like jump. Maybe he has the ability to jump to different multiverses.
Oh, so are you saying like what is that term? What Scarlet Witch is, where she is in every single universe? It's I forget the term, but yeah,
omnipresent. Is that what it is?
Well, there's a Marvel word for it. Because Kang is the same thing as Scarlet Witch. Where,
Nexus.
Yes,
Nexus
character.
Yes.
I don't think he can or have that ability, because if that were true in the case, there's technically no reason to collect, because essentially you have limitless worlds to collect said item.
But if you are said collector, though,
right?
You just think about like us, for instance.
Right.
Would you ever truly stop collecting?
I mean, it depends, because the challenge and the hunt is why we collect, right, sometimes.
Yeah, sure.
And if the challenge is...
Well, it couldn't... Maybe it's not that easy either,
No,
because maybe he had to defeat, like, Thor, for instance, to get Mjolnir.
And I understand that. I'm just thinking, at least if it's a straight line for this particular thing, this episode, he probably had to kill those people to get those items.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, because that would mean somehow this Collector, who seemed like a frail Benicio del Toro, was able to kill all these people. And also, like...
And he's super huge and ripped in this one.
It's weird because, like, he didn't have a whole bunch of lines, and he seemed very awkward talking in the actual MCU.
Benicio del Toro is always kind of awkward talking,
right?
Though.
Yeah, but just listening to him this episode, this sat a little funny with me.
I mean, it was different because he didn't seem like the Collector that we knew. I mean, granted, but for me, I kind of left that in the wayward only because I thought to myself, this is not the Collector we know.
Right.
This is a different multiverse version. But
also, Seth Green was the first voice actor in Guardians 2 as well.
For Howard?
Yeah, both times.
Yeah, and like what he had in there for the little minutes that he was in there, like what, 3 scenes maybe, most.
Classic.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. I was just like,
there's a rumor that Leah Tomlinson said she wants to be the director of a Howard the Duck movie.
Really?
Yeah. So she's the chick that Howard banged.
Banged in the movie. Yeah. Huh. I watched that movie actually as a kid.
I owned it. I bought it for $1.99 at Best Buy.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. We used to rent it a lot, and I remember because I always had a crush on Leah Thompson, just because I don't like Back to the Future and stuff like that.
Caroline in the City.
Oh yeah.
I actually met her and got her autograph.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
At Comic-Con, and the interesting thing is like, you know, I try to make small talk, and I know I'm a little awkward at times, but she's like, oh, I was like, thank you so much for the support. It's like, now my daughter's gonna be like, oh, your daughter's an actress. Like, yeah, she's kind of popular. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry, I don't know too much of what she's done. I'm like, I'll have to look it up. But her daughter's an actress too.
Oh, okay. If she looks at nothing. But yeah, so it's like that would be cool. Honestly, if they could do it, like I don't know. I only kind of see Howard the Duck always kind of being like the background character.
It's like Spielberg or Lucas thing. It was one of them two who helped make that.
I think it was Lucas.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think it was Lucas. But yeah, it's like because he's so off the wall and goofy and stuff like that, and all he does is drink and sleep around.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I mean, how much can you really do with a character like that? I don't know, but it's Disney. They fucking made Gamora cool. I mean, I don't know if you read Infinity Gauntlet back in the day, but Gamora was a pretty one-note character.
Right.
But
and half of it's to do with the actors that play them, and it allows them to breathe and can breathe life into these characters.
Sure. Well, Zoe Saldana. Saldana.
Yeah.
She's phenomenal and attractive, so that helps.
But yeah, I mean, I think as a whole, we are totally on board for What If. I mean, for us, it's not going to take a whole lot to get us on board on most things, but they definitely put their effort into it. They're definitely trying. There's probably, I think, 6 more episodes for the season, so we'll probably do like a mid-season and an end-of-season thoughts just for fun and see what happens. We're looking forward to the zombie one specifically just because I don't like horror, but I think zombies are a cool concept, and Shaf is a huge zombie type of person anyways. But any other final thoughts do you think of this particular What If?
I'm excited. I think you had a good, to Grim, earlier we were kind of bullshitting as we do before we shoot these to kind of get an idea of our mindscape and where to take the videos. But I was like, oh, I felt like, exactly. I felt like, we started off kind of like, here's Agent Carter and then here was T'Challa, in my opinion.
Right.
We just kind of crescendoed, and I was like, and Grim made a comment. He's like, well, they couldn't bring out the gangbusters at the beginning because then it would kind of, the rest of them would kind of be like, it wasn't as good. And it's like, that's a good point.
I think we definitely dig this. We dig this series. We'll see where it has to go. We'll do a couple of updates videos just because we really like what is Disney Plus and what they have to offer. So we really appreciate you watching. Please like, subscribe. We will see you next time. Take care.
Later.